captain, you're the master, you're the foreman, you're the general, you're the head. Don't give control of this to nobody. Get off of Instagram and Snap and get off all these blogs and get into something that can really, really move your life forward. Listen, getting successful, it's not a magic trick. You can decide to be rich. It's highly doable. But you first have to think it. The difference between successful people and non-successful people is here. I'm no better than none of y'all. If you want to be successful, you have to change this. This has to change. Listen to me. It's not what makes it hard is your lack of belief that it can happen for you. The fact of it is, though, it's very doable. See, but you got to change, though. If you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting. So if you're at a place in your life and you ain't happy with it, you have to change some things. But you have to make a conscientious decision that you're going to change. And it's not dependent on anybody else. It don't matter what your mama think. It don't matter what your coworkers think. It don't matter what your siblings think. It don't matter what your children think. It don't matter. They have nothing to do with it. This decision is yours and yours alone. Let me tell you something. You get to decide if I'm gonna be rich, poor, mediocre, plentiful, happy, sad. You have a decision to make.
All right. Well, good evening, Dog Pound Empire. Man, I am so excited about this event tonight. We got a special thing going on. I know everyone's super pumped up. We've got the Dog Pound Connection series taking place. This is the third time we're doing this, and it's super exciting. I can't think of a better guest speaker to bring in for this event where we are at and our place in our hierarchy and all of that. And, this couple, just to give them a good introduction, and we're going to talk about their story here in a bit. But they have been in the business for a while. They're out of my favorite city in the world, New York City. They dominate the leaders bulletins. They are $1 million earners in Primerica. Now, when you hear that term, some people go, "Oh, is that $1 million in career earnings? Is that $1 million over 50 years? What is it?" No. That is, they make $1 million each year in Primerica. So in 2022, they made over $1 million in cash to their bank account. And so they are, and money is not everything, and we always say that, you gotta, I always tell people this. People ask me all the time, how do I know if my coach, if a mentor is good or whatever, how to choose a mentor? Well, number one, you got to look at the numbers. Are they doing well on the leaders bulletins? Are they doing well in life and all of that kind of thing? And they certainly check that box. But the second thing that I think is just as important, if not more important, is their character, the integrity, the way they treat people, the way they treat the waitress, that they get nothing out of, how do you treat everybody, and this couple, one of the most humble young couples you'll ever meet in your entire life. They're fun loving, incredibly, they're dear friends of Nuvi and I, and anytime we go into New York City, we always ring them up and go hang out with them. And a lot of our RVPs and teammates have hung out with them in different trips and things like that. So we are so blessed and we are so honored to have the incredible Glen and Xio Li joining us in the Dog Pound Connection series. Give it up for Glen and Xio right now as we kick things off. And we're super pumped. So we're going to go ahead and get it off. So Glen, are you guys there?
Yes, we are. Can you hear us?
We can hear you perfectly. How are you guys doing? How's it out there? And are you taking care of my city? That's my question.
we just actually came off. I mean, we just finished up our op night right now. Just walked up a stage. But you got to come visit over here because we're right in the heart of Times Square. We moved our office. So it is always crazy over here.
I think it's just as hot as Arizona right now.
Oh my gosh! So wait a second. So you moved your office to Times Square to Midtown?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh my gosh!
We actually moved our home from Jersey into New York City. So this is a lot more convenient. But beginning of the year, we separated the offices. We opened up 2 offices, one in Jersey and one in New York City. So it's exciting because it's all about distribution. But you got a radio presence, bro.
Man, oh yeah, I've got a face for radio. That's for damn sure. Okay, I'll tell you that. But last time we came out there, Glenn, you and Xio brought us up to your condo. Your I don't even know what you call it. Your home, I don't know, whatever, your apartment building. I don't know what the hell you call it. But you're up on what, 52nd and 7th or something like that, right? Just north of Times Square, right?
Yeah, we're on 53rd, actually, on the east side. It's on Park and Lexington. So,
gotcha.
But yeah, we're actually about 15-minute walking distance from here. So we've been getting a lot more walking done.
Man, I'll tell you what, if you haven't seen their apartment, next time we run a contest, when we go to New York, we are definitely crashing their condo because it is listen, I'm telling you this, it is the sexiest condo I've ever seen. Now I'm sure there's other ones in New York City, but this one is my buddies. These are my best friends, in the business, so it is definitely the sexiest condo in New York City. So we love it. And then your office, when did you open that one up?
On 40th and Broadway.
Beautiful. Oh my God. Right in the heart. Holy cow. Well, man, you sold me the dream right there. I think we could end this meeting right here because I'm ready to go to work. I'm ready to get after this thing right now, just talking first 2 minutes. So, but we want to say thank you very much, Xio, Glenn, for joining us. And we're going to have a lot of fun. So what we're going to do is we're going to kick things off. Some of you, so we got a lot of new people on here. Obviously, they're not as familiar with the legends of Primerica. And just so you know, if you're newer, Crystal or Jacob or someone, Lisa, you're listening to legends in Primerica. So when the book is written on Primerica, there will be a chapter in New York City about Glenn and Xio. And so definitely be taking notes. Make sure you're paying attention, put the kids on lockdown and let's get this thing started. So let's start off. First question, Glenn. So how long have you guys been in Primerica, first off?
Actually, Xio came aboard the company. We met each other in Primerica. So she was 18 years old. Okay, tell
my stuff. Yeah. First of all, thank you for that question. But I want to say that you and Nuvia, you guys are one of our favorite, actually, if not our favorite couple. You guys are just so special and have always been so nice to us and have treated us incredible. I remember hanging out with you guys in Arizona. So thank you guys for just being a great example of being a great family, just a business leader, everything you guys stand for. We just love. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. And I'm kind of upset. I'm a little offended that you said you were one of your favorites. I thought we were like top of the line. I thought we beat everybody in your hierarchy and everything like that. I'm just, don't worry. We'll call timeout. I'm going to go cry a bit. I'll be back in about 30 seconds though. So tell us, okay, so you guys got started, you both were in the business, so tell us a little bit about your story. We'll unravel this onion as we go, but tell us a little bit about your story. So Xio, you started first. Tell us a little bit about yours.
No, I worked at a shoe store in the village, and someone asked me if I was interested in making additional income and a career change. Really what he said to me was I interested in a career change, and it couldn't have been a better question because I really was. At the time I was 18, and I kept on asking myself. I started working at 14. I was like, there's gotta be something. And there's no way that I'm going to work this many hours within this. It felt like a jail, like I was in a box, and it was a 3-day thing. And I started working there again at 14, and at 18, I knew, okay, I got to do something else. So anyway, someone approached me by God's grace and said, would I be interested in exploring other options and a career change? And I took advantage of that. And I'm New York skeptical, but I wasn't afraid of taking a chance. With Primerica, it started with nothing. So I figured, what do I have to lose? at worst. I mean, if they were looking, because someone would say, "Oh, they're looking for, your money," and I go, "What are you talking about? Like, what money is that, And so I started working with the company, and it's been life changing. And I met Glenn, a few years after that, and that was definitely life changing. So, it's just been
100%.
this company is
Mhm.
ever changed our
You know,
life.
it's funny you bring that up, Zio. Is that it's so funny when people go, "Oh, they're just after your money." Yeah, yeah. Primerica is so smart that they're going to attack an 18-year-old working retail, making minimum wage, and they're after her money, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's awesome. That's a great story. So, Glenn, then how did you get involved?
Well, I mean, I was at the time. I mean, you know my background. Well, first off, you are my favorite. Okay, you and Nubia, not one of my. You are my favorite.
Thank you, Glenn. Thank you. I'll pay you later.
I was 23 years old, and prior to Primerica, there was a lot of things I didn't do right. It took me 5.5 years to graduate high school, right? The 5.5 years, 3 summer schools, 2 night schools. It's funny, I was just telling the story today. And then prior to Primerica, I went to college for 1 year, right? And I had a 1.1 GPA. I was put on academic probation. And then a year after that, I decided, I go, you know what? I got to change my life around. And thank God, right at that time, I met somebody who introduced me to somebody that was in Primerica at the time. And I overheard a conversation he was having with one of his friends, and it was over a beer, okay, at the time. And the conversation was, his friend was involved in a cash value life insurance company, and this guy Alan was in Primerica, and Alan goes to the other guy. He goes, "You guys rip people off. You guys do the wrong thing, the wrong job for families." And then the other guy turns over to Alan and he goes, "But yeah, you guys recruit anybody. You guys just recruit anybody." And I heard that, and I go, "Wow, I go, Alan, you guys recruit anybody, right?" And then that's how that. To make a long story short, that's how I got started. I was introduced to the company, and then he drove me to the opportunity meeting. I wasn't going to show up on my own, right? Thank God he came by, and he
Mm-hmm.
right, because it was an hour. Drove me to the, and that's where the last speaker, which was Keith Otto, right, and my upline, right, and my mentor, the guy that taught me pretty much everything in the business, especially in our early years. And thank God for having a mentor in Primerica, because I think that it's not necessarily the money opportunity, even though it is. It's not even the freedom that is so great, and it is, right? But it's the fact that when we joined the business, right, we inherited somebody that cared about our success, just like you care about everybody on your team in the dog pound, right? Because the leader of the dog pound empire, $800,000 earner and servant leader, right? Because I see that right there. But that's why we inherited when we joined Primerica. And obviously, I think that's the best thing that you get in Primerica, along with all the other things. And then we met. She was checking me out from afar,
Yeah.
For 3 years, I kind of felt her eyes on me. No, it's actually the opposite. Okay, but go ahead.
No, we met in the business, and I actually did hit on him. Yeah, it was all me.
Oh, jeez. Well, at least you're honest, Zio. That's awesome. And it's funny because Glenn, you're Chinese, right? And I'm Indian. And combine us together, we're the only two Asians that suck at math, suck at school, and barely made it into Primerica. Like, man, we're the only two Asians on the planet. So, yeah, amen. Primerica found us. Thank God. I like that story, though. I like how you said, "Wait, they'll take anyone." Like where usually that's like a negative. That's such a great positive. So that's cool. All right. So tell me, here's a quick question. What have you done in the last year? Like what's something really exciting that you guys have done now that you guys are obviously very successful? You travel a lot. What's something in the last few years that you've done that would really sell the dream?
I mean, I was looking at what we did. You know how you look at a year in a glance at your photos, and so long I would hear Primerica, you work hard, right? So you can play harder, and you hear all these things. And I think for us, we were in you guys know this, if because you do this. But you're in a grind, you put your head down and you're getting after this. And when you pick your head up, you just work 3 to 5 years for us. I know we spend so much out there, like on the weekends. Saturday, I remember Saturday, people would say to us, oh, you work on the weekends, you're working on Sunday. And they would say these things to us. And you know what? We knew where we were going. Like someone asked us yesterday, when did you know? And once we figured out the mathematical equation behind that, it was game over, right?
Mm.
And working toward that. And so I think when I did, and you don't realize this, last year I did a year neck glance and I started looking at the pictures. And you guys know, for those of you guys that know Dan, Patty, the
Hmm.
Whittles, or even Keith, like it's a blessing to be around great people like that. But Patty is a traveler, and we get to travel with her quite a bit as well. But just looking at going to Italy, we went to like just in a 2 week period, we went to Israel, we went to Jordan, we did Lake Como, Italy, we did Milan, and just in a 2 week period. And I kid you not, we didn't go at one time, which we should have, but not at one time did we say, how much is this hotel, or how much is this? And especially when you're hanging with Patty, I have to tell her, Patty, she's like on a whole different level. But things
Hmm.
like that, and traveling and going a bunch of different countries and island hopping and that stuff, and then the freedom, I think, to be able to provide for for our family, that his dad doesn't have to work, he has our checkbook. I think those things, and looking at it this year, and options, living where you want. I think this year we said, what, where do we want to open up an office? Where do we want to live? New
Hmm.
York City was a huge check for us. It's our dream place. Really is
Yeah.
New York City. And then we're looking at a couple islands right now where we want to buy something, and
Ooh.
one of them
Not
is his
not not
favorite.
not buy an
Not
island.
buy the island, but the island. And those are some of the things, I think, for us, is just the options to do what you want, when you want, and with who you want. And we always heard that, but to have that come true is exciting.
That's really awesome. Patty Schechter is kind of like the Anthony Bourdain of Primerica. She travels everywhere, man. She's unbelievable. So that's cool. Glenn, you were going to say something?
No, well, I mean, prior to Primerica, I was born in Hong Kong, obviously, right? In one of the countries, right? But I was born in Hong Kong, but I came here at 4 years old, and that was the last time I was ever outside of the U.S.
Mm.
Other than Canada, right?
Mm.
And Primerica trips to Mexico. So, I mean, then you got DR and
Yeah.
which is part of the U.S. But I've never gone outside of the country and traveled outside the country because it takes money to do that, And
Hmm.
thank God, like we bought in early on to the fact that I remember Keith saying to us, he goes, as good as it sounds, he
Mm.
goes, when he got there, it was 100 times better,
Hmm.
because we join a company where they tell us that one day we can achieve our financial freedom, right? We would have more choices in life, and we'll never have to worry about the lack of money anymore, and so we buy into that. And then finally, I remember when we started making more money, where it came to effect. And listen, you're absolutely right. Money isn't everything, but it gives you choices, and
Hmm.
you know that, right? It gives you
Hmm.
choices, right? And everything. And I used to hear Keith say, he goes, if money can solve it, it's not a problem, right?
Hmm.
Because in Primerica, if you're in Primerica and you're licensed, right, you can just work harder to make more money to solve the challenges that money can solve. Now, if money can't solve, right, it is a problem, right? Money can't
Hmm.
solve, but even with healthcare today, right, even
Hmm.
with the quality of food we eat, quality of the relationships, even the knowledge that we can get. Sometimes we need to be around people that can give you that knowledge, right? And it's the circle of friends we were able to be in as you progress in it. Because there's a fraternity in success. Even the
Yeah.
conversation that you, Nuvia, and Sio and I have, were not conversations that we would have prior to Primerica. It was
Yeah.
like, we're out on Thursday night. Do they have happy hour on Fridays? Saturday we spend all our money. Sundays, we have to repent, and then Sunday night you feel like, oh man, I got to start it all over again. I hope
Hmm.
right? I hope it goes fast, right? I hope Sunday, right? I hope Sunday stays around, but I hope the week of goes fast. And we always have those feelings, and then it's over and over and over again. And then Primerica, being in Primerica disrupts all of that stuff. So the ability to have choices, the ability to do things where money's not a challenge anymore. I think that those are the greatest things in Primerica that you can have, and a lot of things stem from that. Charities, right? I mean, we do a lot of animal charities, right? We help out a lot of our friends. We help out pretty much all members of the family. And I remember Keith used to say, he goes, I support a small country, and so today we do, not a small country, but we do give back to people that are in our lives,
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. And it is absolutely right, because, it's kind of like this. Someone told me this one time. He said, when you don't have money is when you think and talk about money the most. But when you have money, you don't really talk about it. You just live life. And so yeah, when people say money isn't everything, and it's true, money isn't everything, but I love what you said about, money solving problems, because if money can solve it, it's not a problem. That's phenomenal. Let me ask you this, because obviously we got a lot of new people there. Everyone is striving for success on this call. What are some challenges that you went through? Because obviously everyone has their own hill to climb. What are some specific stories or challenges that you guys went through that can really help these people, kind of relate to you and say, oh my God, if they went through it, maybe I can go through it too?
I remember, that's such a great question. I remember that
I was her biggest challenge. So.
Yeah.
Still is.
I remember when I started Primerica, I was sold on recruiting. Like, you're one recruit away from promotion. And I probably disregarded everything else. And I heard recruiting, inviting, which thank God that's what I heard. But I didn't really realize that I needed to learn how to be across the kitchen table. That was something that I learned. So when finally my trainer goes, you need to train this. You have these people coming in. You need to train. My first field training appointment, I couldn't, how you practice, but the words couldn't come out of my mouth. And the person that I was training sat there, was looking at me, and he had his wife there with him, and it was a couple. We were training, and I don't know what happened. I lost what I was saying, and no words came out, to the point where I was just smiling and looking at the presentation. And the guy that I was training took my pen and took my presentation and started to do it for me. I was mortified. I didn't know what to do. I left there. I really felt
that was reverse psychology, because she recruited him.
Yeah. Well, what's crazy is today that couple is bust their $200,000 and $300,000 mark. Their second and third diamond. But because at that time I left there, and I didn't say, I really felt like I was not, I'm a loser. I didn't think the company was bad. I said, you didn't study, you didn't practice, you weren't confident when you walked in there, and thank God everything worked out. But that appointment made me realize I got to get back and I got to practice. And I practiced in front of the mirror. I timed myself on the presentation. I did all of the stuff that I needed to do, so that when I went back on an appointment, I could close. And the next field training appointment that I had, we delivered a death claim from that appointment. And the little boy who was at that appointment was a child writer on it, and he ended up dying in a fire, unfortunately, working at a pizzeria. And just because I had the confidence to go back and practice, we were able to go back on another appointment, and from that came a death claim. If I didn't overcome those fears, we would not have been able to deliver for that family. So those are one of the things that I think. How about you, babe?
100%.
Xio, I want to say something real quick, because I think that is so freaking powerful what you just said, because I think the majority of people, they'll be in that situation, they'll freeze. A lot of people, we all freeze at certain times, but they'll go home and they'll say, well, I guess this Primerica thing isn't for me. I suck, and then they quit. But a winner says, no, Primerica's great. I just got to get better, and that's what you did. And by the way, who is that couple that just got their third diamond?
Mikey and Xenia Ponte, they're about to.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and she used to be my boss. So think about this for a second. I recruited someone who used to be my boss, and I have to train her. I was mortified. Yeah, but
That's awesome. What a great story. Glenn, go ahead.
Well, I could tell you nothing came easy to me in the beginning. Had no credibility. When I had a warm market.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times people tell you, "Oh, I just don't know anybody." Well, people know people. Okay, they about people who may have an interest that they want life insurance or want to join a business, right? But everybody knows people, and including myself. The challenge was I didn't have credibility in the market, in my market. And so in the beginning, I would ask for favors, and I would get a lot of rejection because I didn't have that credibility. So over time, the way that I had to overcome that was I had to do a lot of cold prospecting. And when it comes to cold prospecting, the numbers game is different. I mean, you got to go through a lot more numbers to get any type of traction. But I knew there was nothing else for me to go back to because I was making $10 an hour prior to Primerica, and so even in the beginning of Primerica, so I go, you know what? If it's either I go back to a $10 an hour job, right? Go back to school and learn a trade, which that wasn't my cup of tea, right? Or I got to suck it up, get good at what I do, and go through a lot of numbers, maybe take a lot of rejection initially, do a lot of numbers in a short period of time. And I started talking to everybody, the 3 feet rule. We were just talking about that today in training, right? Talking to everybody. If somebody smiles at you, if somebody even looks your way, open up your mouth. And I started getting good. I remember Keith Otto gave me an audio, right? It was a Hector Lamarck audio, right? It was Overcoming Objections. Well, the first one was called Op Night 2000. Second one was called Overcoming Objections. It was a two-part tape, okay? And I know tapes are, nobody knows what a tape is anymore, or even CDs. But at the time, he gave me a tape, and I treated that thing like gold. I knew I didn't know. I became aware of the fact that I didn't know that I didn't understand the skills, right? I didn't have the skills. So I would listen to that audio over and over and over again. It's funny because today, we send links out to people and listen to this audio on SoundCloud or on Dropbox or whatever. And then you ask them, what did you get out of it? Right. And they would go, oh, it was great. Right. And I go, okay, did you listen? No, I heard it already. So it's not about hearing. It's not a song. Even the songs you like, you got to hear it over and over before you memorize the lyrics, right? But that don't pay you no money, right? But I remember listening to that audio over and over and over again, and I started getting confident, right? I started getting confident. But until that point, I would have issues with anything over the kitchen table because I wasn't confident, right? I would have issues talking to people that were above my pay grade, which was $10 an hour, right? Or people that were higher than me. So I started doing a lot of recruiting, a lot of prospecting in a short period of time, right? And I said, let me just get the rejection over with. Right? Let me just go through it. Let me just build this armor up. And then eventually I started getting good at talking to people. And then through that, I spent about a year in the cold market trying to get my skills up. And then finally, when our skills got better, we started going into their warm markets, learn their warm markets. And eventually, even today, a lot of our warm market comes from people that we met that were cold originally, if that makes sense.
I think it makes perfect sense. And I think you mentioned something about the cassette tapes back in the day, right? And I remember listening to Shane's presentation tape, and I would break the tape because we would listen to it so much, and I'm sure that happened with you with Keith's cassette tapes and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think a lot of people don't understand is like repetition is the mother of learning right there. 100%. Absolutely. So let me ask you this. Okay. So let's take a typical, part-timer. They're serious. They want to make money. They want to grow this thing. They are part-time. Give me a weekly schedule that they should kind of abide by, something that incorporates all parts of their life and everything like that. But what do you teach your people for a part-time schedule?
Well, depends on what their part-time schedule is. It's funny that you say that because we just had a professor that teaches, well, in college. He also does side work in a high school. but he just came in full time. He's been in the business less than a year, right? So within a year, and plus he replaced his income through Primerica. So if somebody's a serious part-timer, number one, you cannot miss meetings, right? You can't miss the meetings, right? Whether it's Zoom meetings or whether it's live meetings, you can't miss meetings, because those are the things that see, sometimes you think you're trying to learn the technical stuff, but it's the mental stuff that helps put you in the mindset of, man, I really do want to be in business, because it's a mental shift, right? And you know that. But he came in and he goes, every hour, right? Every hour that he had that was free, he had to do Primerica, because he didn't have a lot of free time. He worked from 8 to 6, right? From 8 to 6, he didn't have a lot of free time. So he goes during my lunch times, that full hour, all I would be doing is making phone calls to schedule kitchen tables and interviews. That's all he did, right? He goes, I only had that 1 hour during that time. And then after 6 o'clock was when he can hit the kitchen table, right? And so he had to be so surgical. If you're part-time right now, you got to be so surgical with your time, because you don't have all the time to do Primerica like the full-timers do. Now, if somebody's full-time, and this is what I said to his name is Q, I said, Q, listen, the challenge is when you come in full-time, now you're going to have all this time, right? And what most people tend to do is take that 1 hour that they were spending when they were part-time and spread it out to the full day. And now, instead of getting more time in a day to do Primerica, you're taking the same hour, the same results, the same activity, and you're just spreading it out throughout the whole week, right? And so having a schedule, you're absolutely right, is so important. So not missing meetings in the beginning, right? Making sure that we talk about 8531, right? 8531, being on 8 kitchen tables, right? Five of them are going to have an interest, right? They're going to do an F&A. 3 of them are going to become clients, life clients, right? And then securities clients. And then 1 of them you're going to recruit over the kitchen table, right? I think today, if you're meeting with couples, you can really recruit 2 people, right? 2 people from your 3 kitchen tables, right? And so a part-timer, right? A serious part-timer should minimum work one success cycle, right? One success cycle every 2 weeks. So we got to be on at least 4 kitchen tables, right? Now, that doesn't mean you're going to get the results enough to come full time. You're going to have to turn it up depending on what your income level is that you need to replace, right? But really 4 appointments a week, right, that you got to be on, which means you got to schedule maybe 6 to 8, right? You got to schedule 6 to 8. So the work is in making sure that you're scheduling activity, right? Results are going to come from that activity, but if we only focus on results, right, then we can't get what we want from the activity that creates that, right? So let's say, for example, somebody who's full-time, they're really good in the business now, right? Now, what tends to happen, and I see this all the time, is now because I'm better than the numbers, my ratios are higher, right? Now, if I'm used to closing three sales and 1 recruit a week, right? But I might not need, if I'm good with my skills, I might not need to go on 8 appointments for that. So instead of getting more results from those 8 appointments, now I'm just gonna do 4 appointments to get the 3 closes and 1. And so that's I see that's what a lot of people tend to do versus saying, man, now I'm better. Instead of lowering down the activity, I'm gonna do even more activity to go get so much more results, right? And train so many more people so I can get to that point, that financial independent point faster.
I think that's super powerful because you're right. It's human nature to do the lowest common denominator, do whatever it takes to just kind of get by. And so as their skill level increases, the irony of it all is that their activity sometimes decreases, but the winners they increase their activity even more, because why not catch the whole pie? Like, get the whole pie instead of one slice. So I love that analogy. That was phenomenal. And Xio, I want to know this. What is this? I think probably my favorite question that I always like to ask is, what is one lesson or a couple lessons that failure has taught you both?
You can't, as much as you have, you set a goal, don't let up on that goal. It may not happen when you plan it, but it will happen so long as you don't let up. And so I think a lot of times we go for a goal, or we're hitting something, and maybe you're probably a week away. Like, we could have a goal of, but we don't stop. If, let's say, month end, our goal is 100 by 100, just as an example, but we know we're 80 by 80. This is an example. Okay, let's go back, and we're 8-8. We're not going to stop. It could be the last hour, and we're going to treat it as if we still have enough. We're going to fight till the very end, and not say, okay, maybe we're not going to hit it right now. Maybe there's a new month. So fight like crazy to hit that. Even if you may not have that shot right there, you fight until the end. And I think that's something that I've learned from Glenn for sure, but just continue to fight. It may not happen. Even like the Ruby didn't happen when we wanted it to happen. But when it happened, it was just that much sweeter, because it's in the I think that excitement, that joy, that that enthusiasm, you got to stay enthusiastic, but that joy that comes when you hit that goal is because you went through the struggles and you didn't let up. So it's gonna happen. I think that's what it's taught me. Right. Just keep going, no matter what happens, you're gonna hit it, as long as you don't give up.
I think that's super powerful, because, my dad and mom used to always tell me is like, it's, without darkness, you don't know what sunshine is, without rain, you don't know what sun is, that kind of thing. And so the challenges that we go through are actually a blessing, because we learn from the challenges, but then it makes it, like you said, so much sweeter when we reach the top of the mountain. That's awesome, Xio. Glenn, how about you?
And just piggybacking off of what Xio's talking about, just like the 10x rule says, you're gonna have to do more than you think, right? But once again, it is gonna be sweeter than you think, right? But like Larry Weidel talks about, in his book, he talks about you got to overdo, right? Oversteer, overdo things, right? But also it's taught us how to look at fear. You gotta almost laugh. That's how you build mental toughness. And I think if you don't, like Neil Garfine talks about, those that struggle the most teach it the best, right? Yeah. And so that is so true, because how would you be able to relate to somebody who fails an exam if you didn't fail an exam? I mean, I'm not saying fail on purpose, but how can you relate to somebody about rejection if you didn't do what it took to get the rejection, And Tom Hopkins always talked about, right? I remember him saying, failure is not failure, but it's a chance for me to learn, right? And so it's how we look at failure, so this is so important, understanding the numbers. Right? Understanding numbers, but not just understanding the numbers, but accepting the numbers and working the numbers. And so how many new people right now, they go, man, in my market, they either go one or two ways. They either say, man, you don't understand, in my market, everyone's interested, right? What they're really saying is, I don't have to go through the numbers, which means that I'm not gonna, they don't understand the numbers game. Or on the other side, it's, nobody in my market's ever going to be interested. My people are different, which also means they don't understand the numbers, right? But going through the rejection and going through failure allows you to understand, right? Accept, and if you got the desire to go work the numbers like crazy to get to the lifestyle that you want,
I love it. I love it. Let me ask you this question. Xio, what was your greatest fear when you joined Primerica?
People. People. I thought, I had a very limited belief. I didn't really believe in, I didn't believe, I thought everyone was better than me. That was really probably, if I could boil it down, I just probably thought, man, this person's better. You're either too overconfident, right? Or you're not
Mm.
as confident. And mine, I really lacked it. I was under. I just didn't, I would walk, I couldn't even look at you in your eyes. Like to have a conversation and have eye contact with you was a big deal for me. So I had to learn that in this business. But I started reading, I started self-improving, I started showing up to trainings. I never missed trainings. I treated every time I came to Primerica trainings, and even I still do that. I have a notebook with me, but I have this like old notebook, composition notebook, that I write everything. And it was like almost like I treated, I don't want to say it like this for my religious folks, but I treated it like a Bible. What was in there, I thought it was holy. I thought like what Primerica is saying. If I, like you hear Proverbs, if a wise person seeks counsel, I thought like if these guys are successful and they're teaching me how to be successful, all I have to do is just follow. So I had to like almost like, what is it, brainwash myself into, and I know people use it as a bad word, but I really had to change a lot of the way I thought, and I knew that this business worked. I just had to work on me. And so that was, I think what took a little bit of time was learning that, and then the presentation. And once I started getting better at that, you read books like As a Man Thinketh, Think Like a Winner, books like that that really change the way that people have spoken to you your entire life. Like you hear things like money doesn't grow on trees, or you can't, your friends will go, oh no, you can't do that. They want you to stay in a safe place. But deep down inside, you're better. You're made for something bigger. And those were the things that I knew I had to overcome and change that. So for me, that I would say that was my limiting beliefs were a big deal for me.
I think that's super powerful, Zio, and that was definitely the number one thing that I feared most too, was people, because I was such a massive introvert and I was a clown with my friends, but when it comes to meeting new people, I was petrified. And so yeah, absolutely, I could totally relate with that. And let me ask you this, Glenn. In Primerica, we have, I don't know how many, 5,000, 7,000, 10,000 RVPs. I have no idea. Okay, but there's a lot. Okay, and you guys are in the top 1% of 1%, like you're in the elite of the elite. Okay. Now I want you to brag on yourself a little bit, because it's going to help everyone on the call. All right. What do you see that sets you guys apart from the average RVP in Primerica that makes you special?
Let me get the phone book out right now. Well, I think that it was the fact that without having the struggles in the beginning, which, by the way, I'm not saying that we came from this and then we had to struggle rags to riches. I'm talking more about self-imposed struggles, and a lot of the things that in the beginning, the struggle, like there's a reason why my credibility was shot in Primerica, and that in the beginning with my warm market, and the reason why is because I didn't do what was right with my life prior to Primerica, and so going through that initial, first 2 to 3 years, like I was showing my numbers earlier, and it scared me. I go, holy cow, made $75 my first year in Primerica, made $226 my second year in Primerica, made $2,800 my third full year in Primerica. My fourth full year, I finally broke over 5 figures, which was 20 grand. And then finally, then it clicked, right? It clicked, and then the work ethic went in, and that's when then we got our ring, got to RVP, and got our ring after that, But I think that we did a lot. Like I knew that I had to change the way that I thought about working in the beginning, right? There were a lot of skills that I didn't have, and there were a lot of things that I was afraid of, especially sitting down with people that were older than me, that spoke better than me, and that were more educated than me, in the beginning. So I had to get over that fast. And I think in Primerica, you collapse timeframes, right? And so we recruited 77 directs in an 8-month period, right? Between 2003 to 2000, so the latter half of 2003, beginning of 2004, we recruited 77 directs in a short period, in 8 months. because in the book Super Hierarchy it talks about 60, right, in 6 months. So what I said to myself was, if I went out there and I did that, then I would be forced to speak to people that I was afraid of speaking to now. You know, I would be forced to learn quicker, and then eventually, when we first started doing that, I didn't even know how to take somebody through the field training process. But those 77 led me to 400 recruits in the same time frame, right? And that was not just 400 recruits, but the attempts, right, at getting those 400 recruits, right, was what got me more confident. It got me better, right? It like I started closing like a maniac, and there was, in my mind, there was nothing someone can say to me to not join the business, unless there was something wrong with them. That was my mentality. Now I don't want to say the words, okay, but if there was something wrong with them, right, that's the only reason why I can't overcome the objection. So that my confidence grew at that time, and I think it was just the perseverance. I think that most people that struggled in the beginning, the first 2-3 years, not because I struggled that much and because it's a sob story, but because most people, if they don't see immediate results, they quit, right? If they want a microwave success. And thank God I went through that period of time prior to Primerica, so that when we came to Primerica, I was like, man, I'm supposed to go through failure. It's not supposed to work right away. And so that mentality, helped us big time, when it came to that.
I love that. It's funny how people go, they're going to hear your story and they go, oh my gosh, he only made $75 his first year and 200. It's like, well, wait a second. You went to college and you paid the college 200 grand. You made zero in 4 years, and if you and I went to college, you'd probably take us 12 years to graduate. Right. Okay. But doctors are in school for 10, 15 years before they make a penny, and then they owe $1 million to the schools. So, I would like to put things in perspective like that. I think your story is absolutely incredible. All right. So tell me something funny. What's Theo, give me a funny story about Glen, something preferably very embarrassing, when he was younger or something like that. Give me a funny story in Primerica.
There's nothing funny about this, what I'm saying?
There's nothing funny about perfection. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes.
You know what? I gotta say, Glen has got I think that I'm the wrong person to ask that, because I think, when I look at Glen, he's got the best sense of humor. So, like, so you have a great sense of humor, and he can make every situation, it could be a tense situation, he can make it funny. He's just got the ability to just make everything around him just great, funny, fun. And so I don't know of a funny story. I wish I could think. I think I'm drawing a blank right now, unless you have.
Zio, us Asians, we're known for our sense of humor. Absolutely. Right. Okay. My dad used to say with us Indians, that when we're born, they actually clip the muscle that makes you smile, so that's why we're all engineers and nerds, like that. So, yeah. So Glen and I missed the surgery. Thank God. All right. So Glen, let me ask you this. I want to ask both of you this question. When you're 6 feet under, okay, and I'm not talking about in the subway station, when you're 6 feet under, what do you guys want to be remembered by?
Giving, what we did. I don't think the amount of money you can make, I mean, it's good. You want to have a great lifestyle. Obviously, while you're on this earth, I think that you want to live in abundance. I think that God, that we owe that, I think it's not living in lack. I think it's living in abundance, and you can fight, you can go for everything you want. But I think for me, it's making an impact on the things that mean the most to me. For me, it's animals. That's a huge thing for me, driving around islands and not worrying about, I'm going to see how many dogs, having, that are not neutered or not spayed or are hurting. Maybe it's children, for me, another big thing is little kids that maybe the parents, were in a drug, infested world. And I don't know, maybe that child couldn't have, that opportunity. Those are things that maybe impacted me at an early age, and I have a huge heart for. But the last thing is empowerment, empowering people to be their best. And the way that I think that the way we show that is by us being our best, drawing out the best of you brings out the best in others. And I think at the end is what we're able to, that impact of empowerment, changing people, but because we made that decision to change ourselves.
I think that developing a thriving organization that's gonna grow with or without us, to a certain point. I mean, we hear stories about Joe Enser all the time. Like, I met Joe Enser one time. That's Keith's upline, right? I met him more than once, but really got to know him one time, right? In a car ride. But like, you hear about Bob Safford. Bob Safford passed away years ago. And look at the impact that he's made in Primerica, and look at his organization. I mean, you hear stories even today, like with all the even PowerPoints right now, right, where the lessons that Joe Enser taught all the people like a Joe Cardino or a Keith Otto or Tony and Shelley Narain, or Chris Achong, like all the stories that of how he taught those guys. And Joe Enser's been gone over 20 years now. Over 20 years, and they still use his name, right? And why? Because if you made an impact, and by the way, that business has grown so much bigger under Keith, right? But it's because it was built or it was initially started by Joe. So today, the goal is to get as wide as possible, right? Keep that base shop big and get as wide as possible, because through width, you're going to get depth, right? And I'm talking about width of RVPs that can grow the depth of RVPs. And I want to have an organization one day like a Bobby Buisan, like a Bob Safford and one of these guys, because how many, we can change clients' lives, right? We can give to charities. But also ultimately, you can develop organizations where people are changing their own financial lives within our organization, and having the freedom, living the life that Keith taught us and Widow taught us, and all those things. So I think it's building an organization that continues to thrive long after you're gone.
I love that, Glenn. I absolutely love it. It kind of reminds me, I was talking to Gary Cornegay, a long time ago, I don't know, 6 months ago, whatever it was. And we were talking about the business, obviously. And he said something that was profound. He said, Mark, stop thinking of your life insurance and securities clients as your clients. He goes, no, those are your customers. He goes, your clients are your team, are your recruits, are your base shop, is your hierarchy, your RVPs. Because he goes, the difference between a customer and a client is that if you called a customer at 2 a.m. and said, I got a flat tire, right? The customer is going to hang up on you and then charge back the next day. Like, why the hell you call me at 2 a.m., right? But a client, that's a relationship. You built a strong connection. They're going to come out and help you, right? Probably cussing you out the long way, but nonetheless, they'll be there, right? And so, yeah, those are great observations from you guys. And as we're rounding third, we're heading home. I got to ask this because, hey, we got the king and queen of New York City, on our Zoom. So, I'm going to talk about New York. I mean, come on, we got to. So first question, what's your favorite pizza joint?
Oh man, hey, I have this app right now. I have this app, right? Pizza app that talks about all the different rates. And I'm serious. They rate them from a 0 to a 10, right? And we're surrounded by 8.5s and 9.5s over here. Right?
Oh
but,
my God.
We go to a place right down the block. I'm thinking about it right now. And I was saying to CEO, I'm hungry, right? Well, we're probably not going to grab pizza now, right? Too late for that. But there's a place called Lazara's, right, which is a 9.3, right, but which is unbelievable. But our favorite pizza place is actually a place called DeFara's in Brooklyn, New York. So it's unbelievable. If you go there, I mean, you'll have, well, between me and her, we could have a pie and a half.
Oh my God, it's so good. So good.
So maybe because we have a contest running right now to Las Vegas, and I don't know, maybe after this call, I can convince the RVPs to switch it to New York, because let me tell you, we voted on it and New York lost by 1 vote. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? The world's coming to an end because there's no way in my world that Vegas could beat New York. So, but nonetheless, we're going to have a fun time wherever we go. All right. Next question about New York. What's a hidden gem, Zio, that you guys go to, like that only New Yorkers know? You know, us outsiders wouldn't know.
Gosh, there's a bunch of hidden gems. I mean, when you what would be a hidden
DeFaris, the
DeFaris?
pizzeria in Brooklyn. No.
Gosh, I call
Well,
like
there's a lot of speakeasies that Seal goes to. Okay, but she goes to. Sometimes she brings me with her. But there's a lot of speakeasies. There's this place, I don't remember the name, but remember there was a Mexican joint that we would go in, and we would go in,
yeah,
and then
downstairs.
under the
Oh my gosh,
stairs,
those caminos,
right?
I
I
think,
mean,
or
you
something.
go in for a couple of tacos, and then they bring you to this back door, right? And it's like a trap door, right? And then you just go through it, and then downstairs it's this whole bar, hidden bar. It's bigger than it is upstairs. It's crazy.
Some of my favorite ones are like a place called Piccolo, like in the like a little Italian joint, hole in the wall. You know, there's a bunch of those. I think some of the best restaurants, people tend to go like downtown, but some of the best restaurants are like in the Upper West Side, the 80s, like Amsterdam, Columbus Avenue. You've got like all these bars and dives and just amazing, amazing food. Any type of food in New York City you want, you can have. We have every culture, every type of food that you want, you got out here. I think so. So those are some.
Yeah. So I just saw somebody on the chat. It is from the guy in Barstool, the app for the pizza.
What's the name of the app?
It's called hold on.
And someone else said, let's take another poll on Zoom.
One Bite.
One Bite, yes.
One Bite. Awesome. We went last time. We took like 27 people in the hierarchy to New York back in November. And I don't know if you saw on social media, we put the Dog Pound logo and then all of our RVPs on Times Square and the billboard on Times Square. And it was crazy. And there's a restaurant I'll send you that James Watford, actually his buddy referred him to, and we went up into Harlem, and it was the greatest chicken. It was unbelievable, like a hole in the wall, but it was like the greatest place ever. So yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Okay, what's your favorite Broadway show that you've seen recently?
Wicked is awesome. And then my favorite one is gonna be, what's that the one where the music
Phantom of the Opera?
No, the Rock of Ages.
Yeah, Rock of Ages.
Rock of Ages was by far like
that's my
the best.
favorite.
Yeah,
because I love 80s music.
And I didn't know what I was walking into, but I was dancing, and it was just awesome because I was in my era, but it was awesome.
Yeah, that was the first Broadway show that Nuvia and I ever saw, was Rock of Ages. And that's when, because I was like, Broadway, like a bunch of dudes in tights, like prancing around. I'm like, nah. And Nuvia drugged me there. Of course, you got to go see a show. And I was like, halfway, like 5 minutes into the show, I'm like you, Zio. I'm like dancing, like, this is the greatest thing in the world, But yeah, Broadway's something else, man. That's great.
There's so many good ones. It depends on what genre you're into.
You can't go wrong.
Yeah, there's so many good ones. Phantom of the Opera is always a classic. But I don't think that's there anymore. But that Wicked is good. Lion King.
Yeah, have you seen Come From Away?
Nope.
Oh my God, that's the best. That one, like, I'm not a big crier. I don't cry much, but boy, I was like as a man bawling, like I'm not crying. Shut up. I'm not crying, but it's a true story about 9/11, and it's amazing. It's an incredible show. So, all right. So let's end it with a couple questions. Okay, you are brand new. You just started. You're not even licensed right now. Give us 3 things that they should really laser in, focus in on to get to success.
I think the first one I would say is, who are you bringing back to the meeting, the opportunity meeting, and who are the first 3 people that you can sit down with that's in the right market, marry, kids, but definitely, who are you coming back to the meeting with? Who are you bringing down?
I would say definitely licensing, right? You got to go to licensing quick, right? Get that over with. But at the same time, not saying that first, right? But there's a few things simultaneously, right? Field, getting promotions and bonuses, right? And attending training. So those 3 things, right? Those 3 things, because it's classroom training, right? Classroom training, which is licensing, there's field training, right? And then there's training, general training. So those three things. Get involved in the environment, learn the culture of the business, right? Get that part over with fast. Put me in front of as many people as possible so you can learn all the different things that you're going to see out there. And once again, we can collapse time frames, but let's do it fast. Fast is the name of the game.
I love it. I love it. My dad told me when I first started, he goes, "Hey, Mark, you're 18 years old. Who's a better skill level, you or me?" And he was a regional at the time. And I said, "Well, that's a dumb question. Like, obviously you, right?" And he goes, "Exactly." He says, "So do you want me to build your business or do you want to do it by yourself?" And I said, "I want you to do it." And he goes, "Exactly. Good answer." He goes, "At least I taught something right to you." Right. And that was it. It was, my job was to bring people to my dad and let my dad do all the work. But what I think people struggle with is that they go, "I want to get licensed and I want to do everything." And it's like, why? I got 30 years experience. All of our RVPs got a bunch of years. Why not let them pull the weight? So that's great. Great advice right there. And the last thing, tell us this. We got a bunch of RVPs, in the hierarchy. Most of them, I would say probably 80% of them have the ring. And I love asking this question. What do they need to do to separate themselves? You go to the convention and everyone has a ring. It feels like everyone has a ring, right? But how do you get down to the floor seating? How do you get over $250,000? How do you get to $500,000? How do you get to $1 million? How do you separate yourself and make a name for your family?
What's awesome is Primerica already gives you the answer. You got to do what they recognize people on, not just the numbers, but the activity behind it, right? So obviously grow a big base shop, right? To promote RVPs. So getting to senior vice president. If you're not a senior vice president, get to senior vice president. What's the fastest way to promote RVPs is through a big base shop. How do you get a big base shop? Right? Go out and do the things that got you to RVP again, which is going out, recruiting directs, prospecting, doing the things that were uncomfortable but got you the most results, which is recruiting directs, and training directs, so that you can promote your next level of regional vice president, next wave of regional vice president, so you can hit your next promotion. And obviously getting to ownership, and I know there's a bunch of guys on here that have ownership, right? Probably, right? But 300,000, get to that mark. But any way you build it to that point. I mean, we have guys that we had a guy who wrote 30,000 in personal premium last month to hit the ring, and so you know what, it doesn't matter sometimes. We talk about building all the time, but whatever's your next, right? What is your next accolade? What is your next milestone? Go for that milestone. And if you're pushing, man, I mean, you'll get recognition at that convention. But 100%, if you're not at ownership, let's get ownership, right? If you're not a senior vice president, if you're an RVP, get to senior vice president. And if you're not an RVP right now, right, make sure you get to regional vice president. But meantime, man, let's go get wide and just promote out a bunch of people, and the right way.
I think, man, Glenn, you just nailed it. I think because I think a lot of people, Primerica, the ring is the thing, right? That's always the cliche. And so as an RVP, we struggle and we strive and we get to the ring, but then we kind of not forget, because obviously we know, but we kind of let it drift away that there's other milestones, because the second diamond is not celebrated as much as the first diamond, right? It's like your first kid is whatever versus your second kid. I don't want to say it like that, right? I got two. But you know what I'm saying? And I think that's powerful. I mean, get locked on to whatever the next promotion is or diamond movement or whatever it is, just like you were locked on the ring, and away we go. And by the way, just to close this out, Julio Garcia, of course, Julio, he's our instigator of the group. You know him. And so he texted me, he goes, "Hey, Mark, you should put out a poll who should win." And well, right now, it is 89% New York and 11% Vegas. So as a thank you from me, okay, I'm glad that we did this, and thank you, Julio.
We won't find out the results until 3 days from now, though.
What? Are you serious, Julio?
Yes.
You didn't get my joke.
I didn't get the joke, but jeez. But hey, listen, to close this out, I just want to say, to the both of you, you have no idea the profound influence you have had on myself, on Nuvia, on our daughters. Our daughters definitely know who you guys are. Our hierarchy, our RVPs, we always talk about you guys. And I'm one of those people that I'm not a groupie. You know, I've never been a groupie. I don't follow, you know, people on Instagram and all that BS. And, you know, I'm not into all that crap. Okay. I'm not. I'm into good-hearted people, you know, and if I know I got, you know, if I could trust someone and, you know, then I'll go to the end of the earth to help them and love them. And you guys have been one of those people in our lives. And I just want you to know that and let me tell you this, it has nothing to do with the ruby ring on your finger. Nothing. I could give a shit less about your ruby. Like I admire it, but that ain't the reason why we love you guys. We love you because of your character.
No, I appreciate that.
You guys are awesome.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I mean, you and Nubia are awesome people. I wish we got the chance to hang out more, but we really see each other whenever you come to New York every month, you know, but really don't, you know, where we get the chance to hang out. But you guys are our favorite. You guys are awesome. I mean, your team is awesome. I remember when we went down, we went across to Arizona, and we stayed over your place. You know, you introduced us to your family and your team. I mean, you know, and everybody is awesome. And you know, we love the fact that you are so engaged. You guys are so engaged in the business, because most people at your level, 800,000, are getting ready to cross that $1 million mark, because you're right there. You know, you guys are right there. And really, it's just if every regional vice president, you know, pushed a little bit, you know, and obviously, you know, you're not going to say it, you know, but you guys deserve that ruby ring, you know, and really, you know, if everybody just pushed a little bit more, everybody went for their next, I mean, you guys would be not even at 1 million, but 1.5, 1.6, whatever it is, approaching the sapphire ring. But I mean, that's how we win, man. When everybody pushes, everybody sells out to one thing, everybody's going for theirs. You know, that's how we get ours, right? And so you guys are awesome, man. And thank you to the Dog Pound, okay, for letting us have a little bit of influence today.
Oh man, you guys are the best. Xio, thank you so much for you know, hanging on with Glenn and you know, just, you know, your greatest challenge, Glen Li, right there. You know, so we admire the both of you. God bless you all, and we will see you in New York very soon. I don't know when, but we will see you. And God bless you both. Okay.
Love you guys.
Love you guys. Love you. And Nuvia, do you want to say something real quick?
I just want to say that love you guys. You guys are being amazing leaders. I always look up so much to CEO, and just, you know, it's so funny. She was saying like she's scared of people, but that's why she is the most, like, she has the most people skills like ever. You know, I learned so much from her all the time, but it's just always so cool to be around you guys and learn from you. And it's like Mar says, we don't love you guys for where you guys at, because we know each other for a long time. And actually CEO came up to me and started talking to me when we went to R. Williams event, like the Next Generation Giants. And that's how we connected. She started like, oh, you speak Spanish? And like, she just started talking to me. And I just want to say, like, you guys always been there for us in the ups and downs in the business. You know, that's like true friendships right there. So we love you guys. Can't wait to see you guys again.
Love you guys too. Thanks so much.
All right. Love you guys. Take care. All right. Have a good one.
Yeah, guys.
All right, guys. All right, Dog Pound Hierarchy, let's stay on the call real quick. I want to address a few things. And man, what an unbelievable event. You know, those two. Oh, and there's the results right there. 88% New York, 12% Vegas, which we love Vegas. Vegas is a great place, okay? But RVPs, we'll discuss that at the RVP meeting, okay? We'll discuss that. We'll see what you guys want to do. But let me get the spotlights off here.
I don't know how to vote.
There we go. I don't think your vote's going to help, Nubia. Either way, it's a landslide. But I want to say I want a few people to open up, preferably like if you're licensed, go ahead and unmute, and I want to hear what your feedback is. Or I'll start picking on people. James, what did you get out of this?
Oh, I was hoping you picked somebody else. I took plenty of notes, man. Just in regards to the serious part-timer, never miss a meeting, just things that are always reiterated, what the full-time challenges are, what your failure taught you. I think that's a good one. Like for me, that one resounds early because in the beginning there was a lot of success, and then I hit that slippery slope for them couple of months. But I was willing to get up and not sit in there and be like, hey, Mark, can I come there with you? Can I come go in the office? Just never to quit. It's a journey, truly, if you intend on winning in here. Will you have some wins along the way? Yeah, but if you're going to win, you got to stay the course.
Absolutely.
Stay the course no matter what. So that was some things that definitely stood out to me.
I love it. And you know, that story that Xio talked about, her first KT, where she was frozen like a deer in headlights, right? And I think we've all been there to some degree or other where fear overrides our physical, and it happens. That's life. But her response to what happened is what makes them a champion. You know, and I encourage you, you know, and it doesn't happen to be on just the KT. It's every area of the business. Like in our base shop right now, we're learning the B and C game, you know, from Drusilla, because we really believe that is what's going to take our base shop to 100,000. But you know, hey, you're going to have to master it. You're going to have to go through failure. You're going to have to freeze. You're going to have to be a little nervous. And once you get through that, all of a sudden you keep practicing it. You become a master at it. So that's great. Great observations, James. Let's do an RVP and then we'll bounce. Drusilla, what did you get out of that?
Oh boy. First of all, I learned that we're going back to New York.
It's not official yet. It's not official, but you know.
That's awesome. No, I love what he said, like especially for the new people, you know, those pointers, you know, very specific, you know, never miss meetings. Who are you bringing to the meeting? You know, getting the license, getting the fast, you know, and, you know, they're obviously we've known them for many years, and you see their heart, you know, they just finished their up night, they had a long day, and they're so willing to come in and pour their heart out to us, you know. So many, they're 3 hours ahead, they're, you know, it's just, I'm just excited. I can't wait to see where their office is in New York City, you know. It's just like, it's exciting, see their condo and everything. For the RVPs, you know, the recommendation that they give us is just go do what took us to RVP in the first place. Go prospect, go meet people, go recruit, direct, train them, go SVP, ASAP. I mean, it's like every single word coming out of their mouth is just a great recommendation. And the expectation is that we're going to go and get it done, you know, because it's just another speaker, or are we going to do what they're recommending for us to do? So I think this hierarchy is about to explode. And thank you, Mark and Nubia, for exposing us all to these kind of amazing leaders like yourselves. And, you know, you guys have no ego, you know, you guys pour your hearts to us, and we're here, we're going to make you guys proud.
Thanks so much, Drew. And yeah, that was great observations, Drew, on that. And I'm going to end it with this. You know, one thing, I guess for me, and I'll say, and maybe I don't know if this would relate to anyone on this call, but but for me, like when I was in high school, like, yeah, I was an athlete. So, you know, when you're an athlete, you know, you kind of, you know, people, right? People want to know you and this and that. But I always felt like I was like the outside kind of looking in. You know, I was never the coolest kid in the school, that's for sure. I was always the introvert. I was always the shy one, the nervous Indian, you know, the weird Indian. You know, when you grew up in the 80s in Kansas, you know, you are the weird Indian, right? And, you know, so I always kind of felt like I'm the outside looking in. And when I joined Primerica, I just, you know, the money's fine. We make great money. We travel. We do all that is cool, you know, but to me, it's about the relationships that you build. Number one, first off, the relationships with the people that are on this call right now. You know, the RVPs, like you know, Julio and Ceci, or Drusilla, or Charlie and Ramona, or Enray, or Yaz, or, you know, I know I'm going to miss names, so I apologize. But, you know, all the RVPs, we have this tremendous relationship with them because we've been through the wars. We've been through the battles together. We've been through the, you know, the craziness, all the weird stuff, Irma and Joaquin's, you know, I mean, we've been there. And that's why we can relate to each other. And that's the first thing that I wanted, a team that I could be the captain, you know, and have all these people around me that I know they got my back. And then number two, though, is I wanted to be on the inside looking in. I don't want to be on the outside looking in. I want to be on the inside looking out. And what I mean by that is I wanted to bust my ass, Patty, so that I could be friends with people like that. And Nuvia said it perfectly. I forget everything. You know, my memory sucks, right? But Nuvia remembers everything. I didn't remember where we met Glen and Xio. I had no idea. And we met them at an Art Williams event where it was the next generation of giants. And basically what it was Primerica took 30 couples out of 150,000 licensed agents. They only took 30, Joaquin. And we were blessed to be one of those 30. And Glen and Xio obviously were one of the 30. And then they connect. But we would have never met Glen and Xio if we were not one of the next generation of giants. So the people you meet along the way become incredible friends. I mean, lifelong friends. And the reason why Glen and Xio and Nubia and I are so close is because we've all been through the same war. Different battles, but same war. You know, we're friends with, their upline is Keith Otto. And we've been blessed to know Keith, and we know Keith really well. And it's like, these people are worth $100 million. And it's not about the money. Remember this, because I don't associate with assholes that have money. And I don't associate with assholes that are broke. Okay. I associate with great people that are broke and great people that have money, period. I associate with great people. And that's the great thing, Adiel, is that when you win here, winners want to be around you. And to me, Crystal, that's what turned me on. Dom, that's what got me out of bed at 7 a.m. That's why you ask me, why am I in the office every freaking morning at 8 o'clock, 8:15 at the latest? Is because I want to go to the next level. I want to travel like they talked about. I want to do all that stuff. I want to take my family to around the world. I want to take all you guys around the world. Yes, New York is awesome. But when we get to $1 million, you better damn well believe, RVPs, we're taking a European trip. We're going to Paris. We're going to Normandy. We're going to London. We're going to Italy. We're going to wherever the hell y'all want to go. We're going. But it takes us to buckle down, strap it on, and get after it right now. Nuvia, do you have something to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to say something. And one of the things that like is unbelievable for Xio and Glen, I mean, knowing them for so many years, it's just not, they haven't been our friends just in the good times. They've been our friends when our business was down, you know, when you get no recognition, where, you know, like when other people stop being your friends because you don't have the numbers, you know, they had always give us that respect. And I think that's more, it's like a big lesson for anybody. Like everything goes up, it comes down, you know, anything that, and it's all about how you treat people when on the way up and on the way down, because everything changed. And I think that's one of the things I respect about them. The same smile, the same respect, the same hang out with us, like they give us that. And I think it's really rare to find people that especially that they have no interest, you know, financial interest on us, right? But it's amazing, you know. That's one of the biggest lessons that I can learn from them. And I think it says a lot about thinking about our team. How do we treat our team when the team is not doing that well? How do you treat the team when you having misunderstandings, right? how do you treat them, like with the same people skills, with the same excitement, with the same positive attitude, with the same smile, right? Like, did they feel like they can come to you, or they feel like, no, I can't go to them because they're gonna judge me, right? So I think I learn more from like people like CEO, like in their people skills, than anybody else that talks about money. Because I mean, when we met them, we were making it, I mean, they were like $300,000 earners as well, you know, like, so it's just how they make other people feel. So I just wanted to add that.
I think that's super powerful, you know, and I think it's really important as leaders, like Nubia said, is that we reach down and give a hand up, not a hand out, but a hand up. And so listen, let's go dominate. Let's go attack. All right, guys, God bless you all. I'm so proud of this hierarchy, and you RVPs, you impress me so much. I know you're going through your ups and downs. You have life going on and everything like that, but I want you to know Nubia and I are here always for you. We got your back 100%. We love you all, and let's go dominate and kick some ass. God bless.